Hi, Bill from Phoenix Golf here, and today we're going to talk about the importance of alignment during your practice sessions and on the golf course. And I'm also going to show you some tips you can do on the golf course that you can do kind of during your pre-shot routine that'll look normal, that will help you make sure you are aligned to where you think you are aligned and not just hitting a poor shot. I will start this video by saying if you like these tips, if you like my videos that I'm putting out, please like and subscribe so I can grow the channel. I'd really appreciate it. So let's get to it. Golf simulators like the one here I have in my garage, which isn't the best setup ever, but it gets the job done, they can do a lot of good things for your game. But the one thing I've noticed that during early season I tend to have issue is my alignment. Because on a golf simulator, you usually put the ball down, you use your box to aim, and that's all you do. You don't really, you don't have to like go through the alignment process you normally would on a golf course. And there's no wind, there's no other things bothering you at that point. So I've often found when I start the season out, my alignment is really poor, my shoulders aren't quite lined up when I take my stance, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is walk you through kind of what you can do on your simulator first, and then how you can take that to the course to make sure that you are lined up properly, because it's something that gets overlooked because people go out there and they just hit buckets of golf balls and they're worried so much about their swing, and they get to the course and like, God, I can't believe I'm losing everything to the right. When really they're probably just aligned wrong and they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, but now their confidence is plummeting because their alignment was off. It's just, posture, grip, alignment, the three things you start with, especially during practice sessions, to make sure they're, the same throughout. So what I've done here is I've got a yellow stick here pointing towards the target line, and this will be my ball here, this little rubber tee. I've got an intermediate target, which is like a half cut ball, and then I've got more of a yellow line here to kind of finish that off. Then I've also got where I want my body lined up to, and also this stick, which then I can use for ball position to make sure that, like if I'm using my driver, pitching wedge, things like that. So this line here for my body, and this line should be parallel. Hopefully you can see that. I'll do some drawings here. So this is the best way, I think, to go about when you're doing a practice session, having these alignment sticks, which are not very expensive. You can also use foam, pool noodles, or old golf clubs, whatever, to make sure that something you can put down. I really like putting down like painter's tape. So I'll put like a piece of painter's tape on my mat here. The only thing I would suggest, if you do that, do try to pull it up every few sessions, because I found when it gets stuck to my mat, it becomes a real bear to get off. So even on the painter's tape. So this is what I do. I'm making sure that my targets are lined up. And then I'll also go behind and stand and look, at the net. I can even, one time, if you take like some red string, something like that, yellow string to use as a target, because here it's just the net. And so you really want to get finite on your aiming here. So again, I'm looking down the target line. I can see my yellow sticks going all the way down through this yellow rubber tee. And so setting these sticks up is really hugely important to make sure that your alignment is consistent and you can see what you're trying to do here. Because as you take your stance here, another quick check is if you hold the golf club on your hips, and it's kind of the hips don't lie, right? If your hips are moved, I don't know a lot of people that set up with their hips really messed up. Usually they're pretty neutral because they have to be because of the feet. But then you can check your shoulders and make sure you're lined up to your target as well. The other thing that I really like to do, especially if you're on the range and you're like, oh, I'm lined up, I'm definitely good, but you want to double check that, take your club, put it behind your feet so it's touching your back of your heel, and then come and step away and get a look and say, obviously I didn't lay it down great, but let's see here. So my feet were pretty parallel to the target, which is good, but it's great because sometimes on the range you don't have all these sticks going around, and that's just a really good, helpful tool there. One of the things that I do on the golf course, which is really, really helpful, is I've made the alignment a part of my pre-shot routine, because that way, like once I get set, you want to make sure your analytical mind does all its calculations. The wind, the lie, uphill, downhill, you got to hit right, left, all that stuff. Then you want to transfer that to the physical body and let the physical body take over so your mind can get in the back seat. So I kind of assign that, lining up part to the analytical part of my routine, so I don't have to think about it again. So one of the quickest ways that I've done it on the golf course, which is really helpful, that I learned a few years ago to help me make sure my alignment is good, is this quick little drill. So you've taken your practice swings, maybe it's a par 3 or whatever, you get right behind the ball, and you take your trail arm and you point it right where you want to aim, wherever the target is. So in this example, I use the flag. So I'm pointing at the flag. Then I bring out my lead arm and I open it up maybe 10 to 15 degrees. I put my trail arm back down, and then as I go to approach the golf ball, I take my trail leg and I start walking towards where this arm was pointing. And that will help me start to get lined up correctly. So let me go ahead and show you. So in this instance, I'm going to use the yellow sticks, pointing at my target, open this up 10 to 15 degrees, trail side starts walking towards this arm, and then as I come in here, what I'm doing is I've picked out it's always good to pick out an intermediate target on the way towards the flag or whatever. In simulator world, I've used a half golf ball as a double check. So I put the club down. I keep the face of my body open right now because all I'm doing is trying to line up the club, and I don't want my body to play into that at all. So as I'm looking at the face of my club, it's pointing towards my targets. Then I go ahead and just don't touch the club or don't move the club and get into my stance like this. And now I'm ready to go. Now I've made sure that I'm target. I don't even need to look at my target anymore. You can just make sure it's not getting in your head that you have a problem. And again, the other thing too is quick check against the hips or shoulders is always helpful to make sure you're lined up correctly. But sometimes people open theirs are closed stances or open stances, so that will give you the wrong impression. So that's why doing that little drill will really help. So just make sure your face is lined towards the target. Go ahead and take your stance. And then I just forget about target at this point, and I just worry about putting my swing on. So again, simulators are great. You can do a lot of great things in them. They will really help your game. But alignment-wise, they can really mess with you. So always doing this quick check in the spring or before you go on the course again, and also using that drill while you're on the course to make sure that you're lined up correctly. Again, that's part of my routine. Trail arm towards the target, arm out here 10 to 15 degrees, walk in. Some people may think it looks silly, but I'd rather spend the extra 3 seconds to do that than the extra 5 minutes looking for a golf ball in the weeds because I wasn't aligned where I thought I was. So again, if you like these tips and drills and what I'm doing on this channel, and you want to help the channel grow, I'd really appreciate a subscribe or a like on the videos. And thank you for your support.